How you decorate your heart and what materials you use is completely up to you, but maybe try thinking outside the box. The original hearts would have been decorated with whatever came to hand, and I've seen them with printed silks, dried flowers, even with cut-out printed cardboard pinned onto the surface. This is your heart. You can use whatever you like to decorate it with, but it would be good if at least some of the sequin pins were used as part of the decoration. So have you thought about needle felting, patchwork, embroidery, embossed metal even? Here I've got a piece of embossing metal. You can actually pin straight through this and into your heart. What about polymer clay additions? What about self-cover buttons we might put on here? Ordinary buttons. Here's a button which is one of the self-cover buttons, and I've stitched into the surface of this, added a heart and some stitching on there. There's no reason why then you couldn't stitch that onto your heart here, or even pin into the edges to get it to sit around like that. Other things that you might like to do, this one is called faux chenille. You'll probably have seen this done. You layer 3 or 4 layers of fabric, you stitch up and down regularly, and then you cut between the stitch lines and then use a teasel brush to get this open, so you can get a really nice effect for a surface like this. What about knitting or weaving? Here's a piece of weaving which I did. I think if I was doing this one, I may cover this half of the thread with a red felt and then attach that around that side and then use that as a surface to pin into. Something like this one, which looks really quite bulky and three-dimensional. These are some felt pebbles which I made with wet felting technique, and those I've just stitched onto the surface. And to finish this, I may just put the sequin beads in to finish these gaps to look like a shining marquisite coming from at the back. You can use pieces that you've already worked on and then attach those on to here. Or what about something a little more dramatic like this, which is little pieces of shiny fabric that I've then stitched beads over, and this is just bead stitching in here called bead embroidery. That would then fit over your heart here. This one's probably more unusual. This one I've used a brown packing fabric that came actually between 2 plates. I've cut that to size and pinned it round, and then I've finished it off here with a dried poppy head. So really, the only limitation is going to be your imagination. Make your heart as simple or as complicated as you like. You know, the soldiers at the end of the war, they were very limited in the materials they had to hand to pin onto their hearts. You know, really, how privileged and fortunate are we that supplies feel almost endless these days. And come on, you've got to admit that you've got little stashes of craft things that you'll use one day. Well, maybe now is the day. Go on, surprise me, and most of all, have fun.